2021 season previews begin right now, and we're bringing out the rally towels for this one because today we have the best team in all the SEC, the team with the best fans, the teams with the best everything. And that's obviously because I'm a massive South Carolina Gamecocks fan. If you're watching this, you probably are too. So if you are, do me a huge favor, hit that like button and hit that sub button down below because we are in for an amazing video today, guys. I'm very excited. I've been waiting to do this video for a long time. Obviously, I've had to go through alphabetically through all the SEC to get to this point, and we're S. We're not close to the top. I think this is the 11th team. We still have Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt to go. So if you want to watch all the other previews, there is a playlist. Definitely go check that out. But man, South Carolina Gamecocks 2021 preview. I cannot wait to get into this because we have a new head ball coach. And of course, I'm repping the merch already. Beamer 2021, guys, definitely go in our store right now. The shirts are only $15. We got hoodies, we got sweatshirts, we got everything. Beamer 2021. Go rep your new coach. Why not? And you know what? These shirts aren't even that expensive to start with, but I'll add on another thing because I want you guys to go rep your new head ball coach. 10% off. I will use code BEAMER. Use code BEAMER at the checkout for 10% off your order. And let's just have fun. Let's just celebrate a new beginning of Gamecock football era because I am very excited for this 2021 season to get underway. It's going to be a good one. We're coming off a 2-8 season last year in an all SEC slate. It was tough. It was a tough season last year, not going to lie, but I'm excited for Gamecock football this year. I'm excited for Shane Beamer to come in. There's a lot of things to be optimistic for in this Gamecocks program, even though if you don't see it that way, there is a lot of things to be excited about. And I'm going into this very optimistic, but I'm also going to be realistic in going through these predictions and this preview and everything. Obviously, I'm not going to pick us to go 12-0. Obviously, I want us to go 12-0. I'm going to be cheering for the Gamecocks every single game. I'm not going to go into any game thinking, yeah, we have no chance in this game, but I do have to be realistic at points in this. So first, let's go through how the 2020 season went, starting with Will Muschamp, who was our head ball coach at the beginning of the season. We lose to 16 Tennessee and lose to number 3 Florida for our first 2 games, and then things start to change. We had the big win over Auburn at home, which was an amazing game, a great defensive game for the Gamecocks, just a really fun game to watch. Or no, that was the game after. We beat Vanderbilt first. We go to Vanderbilt, kick them pretty good, and then we come home and beat Auburn in that game, in the very exciting game. And then after that is when we hit our peak that season after the Auburn game, and then the LSU game came, and then it went straight down from there. The roller coaster went straight down and did not go up for the rest of the ride. Like, we get beat by LSU pretty good. Then we had the worst game of the season, in my opinion, the Texas A&M game, which was absolutely brutal. We lose to Ole Miss, which was an offensive shootout. Our offense played really well in that game. Obviously, Kevin Harris carries for 5 touchdowns in that game and had 200-plus yards. Amazing game for him, but our defense, our secondary especially, just got absolutely run over. Then who else do we lose to? We lose to Missouri, we lose to Georgia, and finish up the season with a loss versus Kentucky. We make a bowl game. We make the Gasparilla Bowl versus UAB. But that ultimately gets canceled due to COVID, which I was really excited for that game. It was supposed to be Boxing Day or December 26th. I just wanted to watch more Gamecocks football. I was going to have fun enjoying it, but sadly we didn't get that game. But now let's get into what the 2021 schedule looks like for the South Carolina Gamecocks because we are back to having non-conference opponents. We are back to a regular style of schedule, which I'm really happy about. Even though, don't get me wrong, I may take every season, even though it would be terrible for the Gamecocks, especially in last year, and if we constantly keep putting up poor performances, having an all SEC slate would suck, but watching all SEC games all the time is really fun for me. But I'm excited to have non-conference games back because we got some good ones coming up on the schedule. Starting off on September the 4th, we're at home versus Eastern Illinois, the Panthers. Obviously, they're an FCS school, but Jimmy Garoppolo went there. That's really all I know about Eastern Illinois. Then we go to North Carolina, take on East Carolina. We're going away in this game. We're taking on a group of 5 team in their away stadium, so that's going to be interesting to go travel to. I'm pretty sure they're in Greenville, North Carolina, taking on the ECU Pirates. Then we're still away. We go to Sanford Stadium on September the 18th to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. We're back home on the 25th to take on Kentucky, and then following that up, still at home on the 2nd against the Troy Trojans. Then we travel to Knoxville, Tennessee, Neyland Stadium to take on the Tennessee Volunteers on October the 9th. Then we're at home versus Vanderbilt on the 16th. Finish up October on the 23rd in Aggie land, taking on Texas A&M Aggies on the 23rd. Then we got our bye week on the 30th. First game in November, we got November 6th at home versus Florida. Then we travel to the other Columbia, Missouri, on the 13th to take on the Tigers. That's the start of our Tiger trip, as what I call it. Seems like we had that last year, or we had it in basketball where we played 3 Tigers in a row. We played 3 Tigers in a row to finish up the season. We go Missouri Tigers in Missouri on the 13th. Then we go back home for November 20th versus the Auburn Tigers. And then we finish up the season at home with the Palmetto Bowl. The Palmetto Bowl is back. I know it sucked to not have it this year. I wish we had it this year, but it is back this season, and we do get the game at home. November 27th, the Gamecocks play the Clemson Tigers at home. And then finishing off, I put this in every single team I do, but the SEC Championship is on December the 4th. Yes, it's unlikely to get there, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe the Gamecocks can get to this SEC Championship for the second time. We're going to get into what the season's going to look like, who the Gamecocks lost this season, who the Gamecocks gained, and what the starting lineup and everything is going to look like for the Gamecocks this season. So starting off with who we've lost, the big names, I think Shi Smith, definitely off the board, massive one. Ernest Jones, in terms of a very quality defensive player, but not only that, I saw him as a huge leader for this Gamecocks defense. He's gone to the draft. You got, who else? You got Cedarius Hutcherson, who in my opinion was the leader of our offensive line and our offense in total. He's gone. You got Israel McQuamu, J.C. Horner, our 2 big corners, gone. You got Jamie Robinson transferring to Florida State, as well as Keir Thomas, both gone. John Dixon, I'm pretty sure, transfers to Penn State. Lots of different guys gone from this Gamecocks team. And we took a big hit. We expected this to happen with the coaching change and everything. It's just college football. It's just life. It's how it works and everything. But it sucks. We lost some good players. Like, some of these guys are going to the NFL, and that's great. Oh, by the way, we lost Colin Hill, but not that he was going to be our starting quarterback anyways this season. He transferred. We lost some good defensive players, but it's all in the coaching change. It's just regularly what happens, and we lose some guys to the NFL. Like, Shi Smith's going to have an amazing career in the NFL. I think Ernest Jones, too, Cedarius Hutcherson, those are guys I'm really big on, as well as Israel McQuamu and J.C. Horn. We had Izzy on the show. We had Izzy, did an interview with Izzy, so definitely check that out. If you're a Gamecocks fan, I'll link that up there. It was really great talking to him. But we lost a lot of good guys this year. Looking to the guys that, what should we go into? First, I think we should go into starting lineup first, with what the Gamecocks are going to be looking at this season, how we're lining up. Quarterback is interesting this year because Luke Doty finishes off the season last year. Obviously, he's the athlete from Myrtle Beach, one of the top quarterbacks in his class. He looks like he's going to be the main guy. He looks like he's going to be the starter for this Gamecocks. But what about Brown? What about the transfer Jason Brown from St. Francis, I think it is? He's come on campus. He says he loves Columbia. I've been checking him on Twitter. He says he loves Columbia. And apparently he's doing pretty well in camp right now. Is he going to be the starter? I think it's unlikely. I think that Luke Doty's going to be the guy. I think that it's easy, but it's just fun to think about. And who knows? Maybe we have another transfer step in and is the starting quarterback at the beginning of the season. And who knows? Running back is the strength of this team. Running back is the strength of this team. I will preach it to the day ends. I'll preach it until I die. Running back for this 2020 Gamecocks team, or 2021 Gamecocks team, is the strength of this team. Kevin Harris is one of the top running backs in all of college football, and I think that we have a second top running back in all of college football coming in. He hasn't played a snap yet because he was injured all of last season, but he's one of the top running backs in his class of 2020 class? Marshawn Lloyd. Marshawn Lloyd, cannot wait to see Marshawn Lloyd play. Like, he's the player that I'm going to have my eye on for who I'm most excited to see this season. Obviously, Kevin Harris is still going to be up there because he's already done so many great things, but Marshawn Lloyd's a guy that we haven't seen play, and to have that two-headed monster in the backfield for South Carolina is going to be so much fun to watch. I'd be fine if we hand the ball off every single play this drive, because moving on to the weakness of this team, the wide receiver position, it's not terrible. It's not like anything that I'm going to be like pouting all the time, like, I wish we had a lot of better wide receivers. We got some decent guys, but looking back a couple years ago, you never know what you have until it's gone. And I think that statement is so true now that we lost Shi Smith, because you look back a couple years ago and you have Deebo Samuel, Brian Edwards, and Shi Smith all in the same receiving core. Like, it just blows my mind that back in 2017, 2018, we were so spoiled with those three guys as our main wide receivers. It was good times. It was good times, especially for me, who I'm a big my favorite position in all of football is wide receiver. I have a lot of favorite players who are wide receivers. Having those three guys at wide receiver at that time was unbelievable. So much fun to watch, and they're all gone now. Our transfer from Georgia Tech, Brown, is looking to be one of our main targets at wide receiver position this year. You got Jalen Brooks, obviously, the transfer. He was in last year. He played his first game at LSU. We didn't see him make an overly big impact, but we know he has the talent to be something. I know that when he finally got cleared by the NCAA, it was huge talks around this kid's going to help us a lot. He has the talent to become something that will be very vital for this Gamecocks offense in the passing game for Luke Doty, if it need be. I think that he needs to make some major improvements to his game, and I think if he does, he could be the main target for this Gamecocks team. And then you have Xavier Legette. Didn't really see much action last year, but I think he might have been dealing with an injury last year. Xavier Legette, though, in his freshman season, we saw him a bit. I remember him catching a touchdown versus Vanderbilt back in 2019. Those are going to be our top three targets. I think you also get Ortre Smith coming back for another season, who, ever since his freshman season, we haven't really seen that much from Ortre, but we saw in his freshman season, he made some big impact plays for the Gamecocks. That's when we had the two Smith boys, Shai and Ortre, Devo and Brian Edwards, the good old days of the Gamecocks wide receiver core. You look at this offensive line, you got Ja'Kai Moore, you got Rhodes, you got Eric Douglas still at the center position. Obviously, you're losing Sedarius Hutcherson, who's our big guy. You're still going to have Dylan Wanham, and you're still going to have Javon Gwynn. Those are going to be your five guys. I think we return a lot of experience on this Gamecocks offensive line. Yes, it could be better, but they did their job sometimes in the rushing game for Kevin Harris. I think that we give so much credit to Kevin Harris, but he deserves it. He deserves all the credit in the world for how good he did last season. But this offensive line still carried at points this season for the rushing game in 2020. So I think we return a lot of experience to that offensive line. And then looking at the tight end position, we got Nick Muse back, which was a big addition. He had his better games towards the end of the season. I'm pretty sure he had his best game ever against Georgia. He's going to be a big factor in the receiving game for the Gamecocks, as we usually do a lot of things with tight ends. I think that he's going to be key for Luke Doty. And then you might have Jaheim Bell as tight end number 2 coming in there as well, rotating. That's what our offense is going to look like this season. Moving on to defense, I honestly look at this defensive line, and I'm happy with it. I think that this is another strength of this team, the defensive line. We have tons of talent on the line. Can we use that talent to the best of our abilities? I think if we are able, these guys on the defensive line, and when I say that, I'm talking about Kinsley Enagbare, who I'm pretty sure led the SEC or tied the SEC for sacks last season. Zach Pickens, Jordan Birch, 2 5-star guys out of South Carolina. And then you got Tonka Hemingway, who was a big recruit last season and made some big plays for the Gamecocks last season. Those 4 guys on our D-line, I think the world of those 4 guys. The talent has been like Jordan Birch and Zach Pickens. Obviously, Zach Pickens is coming in his junior year. This is a season where he's going to have to make a major improvement, and he has the talent to. We all know he has the talent and the size to be something great for this Gamecocks defensive line. We've seen sparks of it. Can he just be that consistent guy for the Gamecocks on the defensive line? Jordan Birch, 5-star, out of Columbia, South Carolina, a homeboy. He's going to have to, like, we saw some of him last season. We know he's a big hitter or whatever. He definitely has the talent to be the top player on this team, in my opinion. He has the talent to be the top player on this team, the top player on this defense, one of the best defensive linemen in all of college football. Again, consistency. How consistently can you be that guy who's constantly making plays? And then you got Kinsley Enagbare, who's already consistent enough. I think he's an amazing player, great experience to bring back to the line. And then Tonka Hemingway, obviously he's coming into his sophomore season as well. I think Jordan Birch and Tonka Hemingway should make major improvements in the next season. So I'm really excited about that. Linebacker position, you got Sherrod Green coming back. You got Muhammad Kaba, who probably was our best freshman last season for the Gamecocks. I think you got 2 good linebackers there. DB is where I think the holes are going to be found. And, another guy that I forgot about, there are a couple of guys on this DB. Like, DB is where we got washed out, basically. Like, that's where we lost all of our guys. You lose Izzy, you lose J.C. Horn, you lose R.J. Roderick, you lose Shiloh Sanders, obviously to Jackson State to go play with his dad. You lose John Dixon. So those are 5 guys right there, straight off the board, that we're losing in the DB position. Yes, it sucks, but we still have some talent back here. But I still look at this and be like, yes, we have some good players. I look at Cam Smith and I look at Jalen Dickerson really to carry this Gamecocks defensive back unit. But this is where we're going to find the weakness. And especially in the SEC, the passing game and the offenses have just become way more impactful and just a huge weapon, and something that the Gamecocks DBs are definitely going to have to step up. So I said it, Jalen Dickerson and Cam Smith are, in my opinion, are going to be the two big guys. You're going to have Zaquandre Wright probably move from the running back position to the DB position, and you're going to have Fortune and Foster back there as well. DBs, we're not going up against Alabama this season. Thank goodness. We're not going up against Ole Miss this season. We're still going to have our work cut out for us against Clemson. We're still going to have our work cut out for us against like Florida and Georgia. But these guys are going to be huge. I feel like if we can get our D-line, if our D-line and linebackers get pressure on the quarterback and just are able to play solid, that will really help out in my spot, what is really the weak spot. DBs and wide receivers are the weak spot for the Gamecocks this season. The recruiting class for South Carolina this year, it's tough. You never want to be dead last in the SEC. You never want to be behind Vanderbilt in recruiting. It sucks. It really, really, really does suck for the Gamecocks. But with the coaching change and everything, it's kind of what's going to happen. We bring in some solid guys. No 4 stars, no 5 stars for the Gamecocks. Bring in a couple 3 stars. Naming off the top 3 guys, you got Colton Gauthier, you got Sam Reynolds, and then you got Omega Blake. Those are going to be your main guys from this recruiting class. And who knows? South Carolina has had a ton of 3-star guys step up and become big-time players for the Gamecocks. So stars don't really mean anything when you're actually in the game. If you're able to perform in the game, you're going to get to that next level. So stars mean nothing, but I'm hoping that the recruiting classes get better from now on, because obviously I'd say that you have a better chance of being successful when your recruiting classes are a ton of 5-star guys. It's just how it is. It's just how college football works. Getting into the most exciting part of this video, wins, toss-ups, and losses. And this is me coming from a Gamecocks fan. Like you obviously, I'll put that up in the screen now. You have the numbers down below. That is going to be my win confidence in the Gamecocks winning these games, somewhere in that range. And what should we start off with? Let's start off with talking about the wins. Wins, I think we have 4 marked up wins. Eastern Illinois, East Carolina, Troy, and then you got Vanderbilt. I think those should all be wins. Those are all games that I'm going to be like 85% plus win confidence in all of those games. Maybe the one that I'm most scared about is honestly going to be East Carolina, because we're traveling there. The rest we get at home. I shouldn't need to worry about any of those games. Toss-ups. Toss-ups is where it's get really interesting. Kentucky, I think we get Kentucky at home. That's going to be a very 50-50 game. I think it could go either way. I don't think that Kentucky is going to be anything special this season. We go to Tennessee. We go to Missouri. Those games, I take both of those teams slight favorites. I might go like Tennessee 55% win confidence, and then so we're at a 45, and then Mizzou maybe 60% win confidence. And then Florida and Auburn. Florida, I'd say they have, I put this in the toss-ups because I think we get them at a really good spot. I'm pretty sure we get them right after they play Georgia. And Florida doesn't scare me as much as they did last year at all. So I think that we have a decent opportunity to go up and upset Florida. We play them at home, and we've played them at home really, really decent the last couple times we played that at home. And then Auburn, that's going to be maybe even more, I don't know, this is just my opinion, maybe even more of a thrilling game than Clemson is. That's a game that you're going to have circled on your schedule because of all the coaches that we lost to them. It's insane. The Auburn game last year was amazing. There's some really, really good storylines in that game. And you saw Shane Beamer's interview after Mike Bobo left, and just what he said about Mike Bobo is just like, oh, we wish him well and everything. He didn't really say anything else than that. That is going to be a game that is going to be very entertaining to watch. And I guarantee you Shane Beamer is going to have his guys absolutely pumped for that game on what I think is November the 20th at home versus Auburn. The fans are going to be absolutely charged. That is going to be a really, really fun game to watch. And I think that game could go either way too. Like Auburn's bringing in a new head coach and Brian Harsin from Boise State. Auburn didn't beat us last year like we beat Auburn last year. They lose some key pieces in Seth Williams, Anthony Schwartz. I think that that is a team that could definitely be beatable and a game that the Gamecocks could definitely take. Losses, I never like to put teams in the losses category for the Gamecocks, but again, I have to be realistic in some sense. Georgia, I feel really good about this year, and we go travel to them. It's going to be tough. Texas A&M, we've never beat Texas A&M before, and traveling to Aggieland in Kyle Field, to take them on when they just finished the season, I think 4th overall last year. That's going to be really tough. And then Clemson at home. I think Clemson, it's not going to be the Trevor Lawrence Clemson that we're used to seeing where we get absolutely blown out. Clemson lost a lot of weapons this year. They lose Trevor Lawrence. They lose Travis Etienne. They bring in DJ's going to be their quarterback. DJ Uiagalelei is going to be their quarterback. They're not going to be as good as they usually are, but it's going to be really hard for this Gamecocks team to still compete. I think Clemson's D-line is a huge strength of that team. That's something that our offensive line is going to really have to battle if we want to beat Clemson. I hate saying it because I hate Clemson more than anything else in the world, but right now, I have to be honest in some sense. I don't want to just come out here and be like, yeah, the Gamecocks are going to go 12-0. Even though I'd like to do that, I have all the confidence in this team. I have to be realistic in some sense and put them in that losses category. So best case scenario, worst case scenario, and then we'll go with realistic situation. Best case scenario for the Gamecocks, I think you see the Gamecocks go 8-4. 8-4 is best case scenario. I think punching through the ceiling, which is going even higher than your ceiling, I think you go 9-3. That's absolutely best case, but best case, realistic best case, I see you going 8-4. You take your 4 wins, you beat Kentucky, you beat Tennessee, you beat Missouri, and then you take either not Alabama, Auburn, or Florida. Worst case scenario, I think the Gamecocks go 4-8. I don't see us losing to any of those win category games. I don't see it happening. You lose all your toss-ups and you lose all your losses. That would be worst case scenario. Realistic scenario for the Gamecocks, I think you're looking at 6-6. Get yourself to a bowl game and have a good first year for Shane Beamer. Will Muschamp was able to go 6-6 in his first season. You're going to have your 4 wins. You're going to win against a team in Kentucky probably. You're going to take either Tennessee or Missouri. Those are probably going to be the other 2. And then realistically, you're looking at a loss against Florida and Auburn, and then you lose to Georgia, Texas A&M, and Clemson. So that will put you at a nice 6-6 record. Get yourself to a bowl game in Shane Beamer's first season and work your way up from there. So that is my show for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, go Gamecocks. I really appreciate it. If you are a Gamecocks fan, hit that sub button, hit that like button. I really appreciate it. Share this to your friends. Get it out there because the Gamecock fans are obviously my own, and they help this channel a ton. Like, we have a ton of Gamecocks fans on here, so I appreciate and love the support that you guys constantly give me. Really, really appreciate it. But thank you for watching this video, guys. Definitely come back next time, and always Spurs up and go Gamecocks.